At 7 p.m. August 5th, 2024. This is the time and place for a scheduled city commission meeting. Commissioner Anderson, Speedo, and I here, so we have a quorum. Let's start with our pledge of allegiance. All right, first are the minutes. The minutes are for the amended agenda on July 18th, 2022, and the amended minutes for July 18th, 2022. I'm sorry, the amended agenda for July 18th, 2022, the amended minutes for July 18th, 2022, and the commission meeting for July 15th, 2024. So if there are no modifications, I'll make a motion to approve.
I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, with the motion in a second, move to vote.
Yes.
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 Motion for the minutes carries. Okay, commissioners report. Jade?
Pretty much everything I got will be covered in the agenda somewhere tonight, so.
I don't have too much. We do have National Lights Out coming up. That is tomorrow, starting at what? 4 p.m. It's going to be fun. I hope to see everybody there. Commissioner, if you get a chance.
I don't have an update at this time.
All right, next is modification and or approval of agenda. There any modifications, or can I get a motion to approve the agenda as written?
I would like to add to the agenda. I would like to move that the fuel station be added to the agenda. I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second to add the fuel station to the agenda. We'll move to vote on that one.
Yes.
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 Yeah, so that one's gonna go, let's go old business number 6. Pretty fiddle everything down. All right, so then we'll need a motion to approve the agenda with modification.
I will make a motion to.
Never mind. All right, old business number 1, legal report. Liz, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you.
Okay, very good. Well, good evening, everyone. I will try to keep it brief. First point of business that I have to share this evening is that, as we've discussed, there's an ongoing road issue in Tioga. Obviously, we have the wavy streets out there by Benson. The brief update for this evening's purposes is that I appeared at a scheduling conference in the Northwest District Court. That's been, I don't know, a little more than a week ago. We did set a trial date. The good news is we have a date down in stone, so we know we'll be going to trial the week of September 22nd of 2025. The bad news is that's in fall of 2025. So the long and short of that for the public for now is to know that we will continue to try to seek an adequate resolution, a more prompt resolution than trial would theoretically offer, but we have that on the books, and that's a relief to me. Like Commissioner Iverson, I expect that there may be some level of participation that I may have through the agenda tonight, so I'm not going to preview or pre-speculate on what that might be, if at all, but I'm available if you all need me. And then the last matter that I have immediately in front of me this evening is that I did speak with Dan Larson. I think that was late last week, actually. And I encouraged Dan, but I honestly can't remember the name of the the files, so I don't know that that's on the agenda right offhand. But I encouraged Dan to speak with the commission. If he didn't see improvement on a particular abatement, the commission had already made findings regarding the abatement of that matter. So Dan, if you're there this evening, I think he was seeking some guidance, and I recommended that of the commission because of the combined formality of the findings coupled with sort of an informal commission directive. So I'll leave the balance of that to Dan, but I'm aware of that, and I suggested that he speak with you if he didn't see some progress there. So with that, I will mute myself unless I am needed.
Thanks, Liz. Number 2, engineering report.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. A few items to run through this evening. We'll start with the Northeast Tioga Reconstruction Phase 2 project. Update on that, after we had sent that letter after the last commission meeting to the contractor. We did hold a meeting with them last week. They are currently working on scheduling a subcontractor for a couple of components of the work, and there's a few other miscellaneous items that they are planning to address this week. So they're kind of looking at, I guess the seating is probably the one that's probably a little out. They're hired, getting a subcontractor to perform topsoil work, clean a lot of that, the majority of that throughout the project, and then we see the areas that are pretty much full of weeds. So that, of course, timing on that, end of August into September is a good time. Yeah. So I think that's tentatively kind of what they're planning, but we haven't heard official scheduling. It's kind of where that stands. I guess the letter was pretty clear on what the city's expectations were as far as addressing outstanding items and providing a formal, I guess, schedule. They haven't, I guess, necessarily met the schedule for that. However, it does appear they are actively making attempts to address the outstanding items there. So leave the update at that. Same questions you have.
I'm good here.
Excellent, thank you. Moving on, the next item I have is the recreational trail project. The construction contract for that project, I have been executed by contractor. I left, or handed the copies of it to Veronica for signature by the city to execute and move that project forward. Also included in your packet is the notice to proceed, which would follow essentially provided to the contractor upon execution of the contract, so we can get things moving to the project there. Tentatively, discussions on schedule for that project sounds like towards the end of August here. They're planning to get started and anticipate a 4 to 5 week or so construction window for completion of that project. Pre-construction meeting for that we have scheduled for August 13th at 1 p.m. at the city shop. Commission that may want to attend that, feel free. You're more than welcome there. So that is really all I have on updates on that one. We will be carrying amendment to our agreement for construction engineering services for that project, including construction safety, on-site observation, and construction administration. We'll planning to present that at the next commission meeting. A couple consideration of approval. Any questions related to that project? Okay. Moving on to North Main Street reconstruction. Construction update on that. Project is moving along quickly. Everything, no major issues have arisen. They're planning to be wrapped up with concrete work by end of this week. Timeframe is what it's looking like. And next week is asphalt paving for the roadways. So it should for the next couple weeks here should be quieting down on that project significantly. Just in time for school, so. On more discussion on that project, the water service, 204 Benson Street, which we had kind of ran through at the last commission meeting. We did get pricing from Esther Home Construction to address that water service for that home. There's kind of two scenarios that could play out with this one. One of them, so there's an existing curb stop that's pretty close to in front of the house, right out by the road. No one knows for sure what it's for. It may or may not be something that was stubbed out and just for future connection. This scenario potentially. If that is the case, their price for it was $13,695. Or if they have to go into the street and actually connect to the main in the street, that was a $16,000 pricing. Patching the excavation area was with concrete with an additional $5,000. So we kind of separated that one out. It could be something where I know Kirk is getting some quotes for doing some miscellaneous patching throughout town here this fall. So that could be something where we just pair the base restoration of the street up with some miscellaneous patching throughout town. Or we could have so that's kind of the two scenarios that depending on what the exact situation that needs.
Both scenarios include terminating that roof line that runs east and west.
Yes. So yeah, we're gonna just with that, there's pretty significant savings with having and performing the work. Recommend going forward with that, and we'll see if they start digging a little bit more. How it will play. For a motion to approve.
Yeah, I think so.
I can make a motion to approve, Esther Home Construction. What exactly do you want for the motion to move forward with your scenario? 1 or 2?
Yeah, we won't know until they
They get in there.
dig in.
Okay.
So basically they'd start best case scenario 2, but if we have to, scenario.
So we can make a motion to approve the project with not to exceed dollar amount $21,000.
And then we'll look at you. Okay, that's what we'll do. So I'll make a motion to approve Esther Home Construction to move forward, not to exceed 21,000.
I'll second that.
All right, with the motion and a second to approve the Esther Home Construction project. Is there any discussion on it? We can move straight to the vote.
Yes.
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 And one other item, Dan Larson had given me a call this afternoon. Yeah, the resident at 305 North Main Street had called, during design of the project, we had some conversations with them. So in front of their property, they had essentially the entire boulevard concrete. There's no driveway or anything. So with the project, through discussions, we ended up with just doing a 5-foot wide sidewalk along the property there, and roughly 4 foot on a grass boulevard. That resident kind of wanting to go back to when they're doing all concrete in there. From the standpoint of planning and zoning to some degree, just paving boulevards with concrete, maybe not necessarily advisable, but Dan had discussion with him, he kind of indicated the ordinance probably discourages it, but doesn't prohibit it. I guess the question would be if the commission would be acceptable of doing that. The resident did offer to pay for replacing that, for that portion of it. Putting the concrete in there, the cost would be roughly $3,500, but wanted to bring that.
I don't know if you guys have any comments on it, but I would think just place it the way it was. Obviously important to them, and you don't offer to pay money, I don't think you should have to pay anything, because it's probably already done it once.
And that is all I have. Thank you very much.
All right, number 3 is the community center construction update. Guys, I want to forewarn you, this is their time to give a construction update. That's all we're talking about right here in this section of the agenda. They've done a lot of work. We want to hear what they've gotten done, what their outlook looks like.
My name is David Singh. I'm the site superintendent. I've met a few of you, but it's nice to meet you guys. So for the construction update, we mobilized to site. We have the warming house foundation and slabs complete. We have mass grading of the building pad and the retention pond complete. We are working on grading the east parking lot. And we have all water, sewer, and natural gas utilities complete. The key task we're going to be doing next reporting period, we'll come and give another update next month. But we will have the warming house framed and sheeted. We'll be pretty much wrapping up foundations for putting some walls, main addition. And we'll be working on the east parking lot, doing the site concrete, and then I have asphalt scheduled for September 15th. So that covers the construction update. Any questions?
They got the field report with photos and stuff on it.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, the only other thing, Matt, there's project manager at FCI. Only other thing we had our first pay application for the month of July. Our pay application number 1, it covers our, initial month and a half of general commissions, our mobilization. The warming house foundations, we got some plumbing underground, a lot of earthwork completed. Some utility work, our insurance and bond, performance bond costs, and then our pre-construction services. So that first bill was at $593,010. I guess I wasn't sure. I was gonna ask if that was just part of the bills, but whether we had to do a separate approval of that.
I had a hard time hearing Matt's question. Brett, is there any way you might repeat that? Is it a procedural question about the pay application?
Yeah, it's a procedural question, whether or not it's on the consent agenda or if we need to make a motion to release the payment.
Well, let me look at the consent agenda. Give me one moment.
I guess I'm not seeing it, so we might just need to go with the motion to release the payment. Is that what you're looking for in the 593?
Yep.
10?
Is that in your report here? I don't know how I'm missing that.
Well, no, that was just sent as a separate, progress pay application,
Oh, okay.
no. Separate item. On other projects in the past, we've presented our payouts, separately, that's why I asked, but if it's part of the monthly bills, you don't necessarily have to have a, you know, going forward every month, I guess. But we're happy to discuss and present what we're billing each month, though.
I don't know that I have a preference, procedurally. What I guess the only other question I have, and I apologize, guys, it is a little bit hard to hear you through the mic, and that's not your fault. Was the pay application that you're referencing that was presented well in advance of the commission meeting? I mean, before Wednesday of last week?
I believe it was sent from the APC on Thursday. I don't know. I can't remember exactly. Might have been either Wednesday or Thursday, but if it has to roll to the next meeting, that's fine because I mean, it is early this month. So
Okay.
It's not anywhere on our monthly bills.
Okay, well, it can wait then.
I think, Matt, just so you know, if you guys are putting in a pay app, I mean, nobody has an issue, and I think everyone appreciates you presenting at this meeting. That gives us a little bit of a heads up, but if you'd like it treated at the meeting, try to get it in at least, you know, Wednesday morning before the meeting. Abby tries to prepare the agendas Wednesday afternoon for the following Monday meeting. Just a heads up for you.
Yep, appreciate that. Yeah, I guess that's all we had for updates for what we have so far. So do you guys have any questions for us?
Going okay.
Yeah, everything's going good and we're right on schedule and this rain kind of, that's the stuff per day, it's the full construction.
Speaking of schedule, you still plan on being fully enclosed by September? Or the end of September or start of September?
No, so we get the building in the end of September. We're gonna be done with the foundations. No, we're not gonna be enclosed fully until, let's say, Christmas. I know you are, if you have questions on the master schedule, we have previously sent, we can discuss that, but that shows, us getting the exterior complete, right around Christmas.
That's my fault. I must have misunderstood.
Oh,
I thought you guys had mentioned when we met, what, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago? That you'd be enclosed in September, but
Well, I think the goal, we're trying to get as much done outside work as we can before the hard winter comes in, and that could be at the end of September, but, we're not gonna have everything, you know, all the steel on site and stuff like that.
That's kind of how I remember it.
Yeah, we're getting our steel at the end of September. The goal is to get everything closed by partner.
As it sits right now, the master schedule we have, we're tracking accordingly.
okay, any questions for him? Thanks, guys. All right, number 4 is the estimate for poison control. We talked about this last meeting. if we were gonna look at maybe doubling up on poison control to help the rest of the community out, is that correct? All right, so the initial total needed was $4,299.95. I think we were looking at maybe doing a not to exceed of $10,000. That would more than double the inventory of poison control. So if that's still everyone's intent, would be a motion to proceed with that.
Have any of you guys reached out to the school or anything like that to see if they're okay with this?
I have not. I have reached out to Ryan Powers, who's exterminator, I guess, varmint exterminator, and I was looking into what it would cost to have him come and do some removal of these pests and whatnot, and they've actually used this guy at the school, and I think the park before too. And I reached out to him to see what our options were this year. And what he came up with was the best way to get rid of them now is mostly by pellet gun. He figured that he had a poison that is it's in a gas canister, and they usually put that down the hole and kill them off that way. But there's been a problem. They've had a problem getting a hold of that. That's kind of backed up. So he told me the best way for them to come in would be pellet guns for now. So what we're looking at for them to do that would be they charge about $60 per hour and 65 cents per mile. They're coming out of Bismarck. So that is an option, as well as the poison. And I was kind of waiting to see what we were gonna do first before I reached out, but. What's that?
Did they give me an estimate on how many hours it would take?
They did not. So I don't know. I think this late in the game, I think we're kind of late with the poison. I think the best way to kill them now would be pellet gun. I mean, we could maybe buy some poison too, but I think we just need to be on the ball for next year and catch it early in the spring.
When you say pellet gun, sorry, I'm a girl here. What do you mean by pellet gun? Like where it shoots like poison pellets or?
BB gun. Mhm.
It's an air rifle.
Yeah,
Well, okay, I mean, I know what a pellet gun is. I just didn't know if there was like some kind of poison pellet.
oh, just BB guns. And you know that, you know, we kind of, I don't know that they're able to use them in certain places either, so I don't know. I don't know what the best option is, but I thought that would be good just for expertise and liability purposes.
I mean, back in the day, we used to take pellet guns out to the school and they would ourselves, but that is no longer the case, so. I don't. I don't know. I could be a whole crew. Oh, I know, right? I did. But. I don't know.
Do you guys want to go with the initial bid for the half? Go with your guy for the other half and just let the boxing gloves come out and see who wins? Maybe a good baseline to find out which one's more effective.
Like which one's not fun.
I mean, we use this kind of poison out on the farm for gophers, and it's really hit and miss. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I don't know, it might be a good idea to have a little bit of both.
Well, that's the fun part, is it's dealer's choice right now, so really whatever you guys want to do. Even what do you think?
Poker lovers here tonight.
You have some feral cats.
Here you go.
Well, I think we should buy some poison and do some.
So if we at least have it, and if we don't let it exceed what it was the double amount, I'm sorry. Hold up.
It would have been $8,600, would have been double. And we were talking about going and capping it at 10.
Okay, so a cap of 10. I mean, if we did that, maybe we could start, but that would cover not just the city property, that would include like the school and cemeteries. Once those boards are talked to make sure that they're okay with it, but. So that would cover all properties in the city, correct?
So do you guys want to do that then? You want to go with, double the poison amount if it's in effect of.
How long would it take to see if the poison worked? That's the problem that we're at right now.
And when's the latest you guys can come?
Well, he said he's very available, so he didn't really get into specifics, but.
I didn't know if there was like
No, I asked if we have plenty of time to get him out, and he seemed to think it was, so. Not exact schedule, but.
so what we're looking at, I guess, would be a $10,000 cap. Spread it everywhere needed in Tioga. If that doesn't work out.
I would go with the 4,299 for the poison, and if we need to have somebody come in and shoot them, we should. That's what I think.
Yeah, that was the original ask anyway, was 4,300, right?
Maybe with the 4,300, we can see how effective it is and go from there.
I think the concern was though, like if we start putting it on some of the city property, that's gonna push it into more of them into the cemeteries and, you know, the football fields and that. I think that's why we were originally discussing helping out the other city.
Well, I mean, if we shoot them on site, they won't be moving anywhere. So. That's why I think the pellets would be better than the poison. I think we should get some poison for sure, but I think pellets is the way to go. Then we don't even have to do as much reaching out. I mean, we still can, but. I don't know how many hours it would take them to do this, but I mean, I think it's reasonably priced. You could kill leftovers in that.
What did you say the hourly rate was?
60 an hour and 65 cents a mile.
Yep. And then there might be an additional cost for supplies, I guess. He didn't specify, but I'm guessing he didn't specify. It can't be much.
All right, so what do you guys want to do?
I'd like to hire him to do some exterminating, and I think we should buy the original ask of 4,299 for poison.
Motion you're making.
I'll second that.
All right, read it out to me, Jaden. What do you want the motion to be labeled as?
Make a motion to go forward and purchase $4,299.95 worth of poison. And that we hire this Ryan Powers to come do some exterminating at $60 an hour.
We're gonna put an on that.
Like an hour limit.
Or not.
Or a dollar amount.
All right, Steven, are you good with still seconding that motion, read out like that?
Realistically, Do you have any guess on the top of your head, hour wise? Did he get an idea?
I don't, but if we, you know, we could probably just monitor it somehow and just cut them off.
'Cause I mean, I don't,
Or should we just forget about it and just do poison until we learn more, maybe? I don't know. I just want it to work. I feel like the poison's not gonna work as good this late in the year.
mhm. But I feel like it needs to be either or, like, if we go your route with poison and pellets, or we go all in on the poison, we can't half it either way, because then like the previous discussion, they're in fear that they'll just do a different location and it's just you chasing tail. I just wish I knew how many hours was an estimate, and maybe before we take a final decision on this, is there any way to reach out and have them come back with an estimate? I mean, I don't see it taking 100 hours, which, let's say it did take 100 hours, that'd put us just slightly over the $10,000 cap anyway, so I feel like it should be under the $10,000 cap.
Let's just go with the poison for now. Let's just go with the poison. The original ask was $4,299.95. And I can look into, I can get a better idea of.
Well, there's a motion. It has to be. And then
So I can resend it. At this point. Yeah, I'll resend that. Motion.
For false. Go for poison.
So that's out, we're looking for a new motion now, right?
Looking for a new motion.
I make a motion to purchase $4,299.95 worth of poison.
I'll second that.
All right. With the motion in a second to purchase $4,300 worth of gopher poison. Is there any other discussion on it?
No.
Okay, we'll move to a vote.
Yes.
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 All right, motion carries. All right, number 5, water and sewer for property. Mr. Colbert.
Good evening. Hi. We were here, I think, July 1st, and we had a discussion. It was kind of a crazy night, but we're back again, just trying to see what the feeling was and what everybody, where we're at with that. Like, putting the city, having the city put their infrastructure in that, that they'll build for and collect taxes on and stuff.
Yes, you're looking for a water and sewer main running north and south.
North picking up straight from where I installed the 8-inch sewer line and the 6-inch water line, just continue it to the north.
Where is it at? Is it in the half street that's not paved, or did you jog right into the lots?
It's in the half street.
Okay,
So whenever the half of the street gets installed, then it will be in the street. And then whoever purchased the lots that I do eventually sell, then from the actual structure that's built to the actual city, into the city street, into the city infrastructure, that will be on the homeowner or the property purchaser. You know what I mean?
right. So you're looking at selling the lots, you don't look at developing one, sell it, move on to the next, you're just looking at selling the lots.
I would like, in a perfect world, I'd like to get the water and the sewer brought to the north, the city puts the infrastructure in. And then I divide those lots into 1 acre lots and I just, whatever, you want lot 2 and you want lot 5 and you want whatever, it doesn't, you know what I mean? From that point on, I'm out of it. If that makes sense. But in order for me, if the city doesn't do anything, then I'm gonna have to tear the road up every single time a lot gets sold, and then I'll have to, the purchaser, because I don't have any money, so the purchaser of the land is gonna have to pay to have that put in. And then whenever they decide to actually do it or build a house, it could be another year, then they'll have to tear it up, and then we'll have to do one by one, one by one, one by one. But like I said, I mean, I get a water bill and, you know, I install the city infrastructure stuff and I'm paying for it, you know, every month. You know what I mean?
Right.
If that makes sense. And I want, you know, splitting those lots up too will bring people here. And it'll be more attractive, you know, to have a big city lot, you know, 1 acre lot, instead of north of Cashline, like 7,000 square feet. Can't build anything.
Just curious, how big or how many lots is there gonna be?
There's gonna be 6.
Okay.
They're gonna be 340 feet to the east and west, and then 130 feet to the north and south. And the 130 is what that's going for.
We have 0 homes for sale in Tioga right now. I just checked again, it's. I feel like we gotta do something.
And to be honest with you, I mean, my wife and I, we've been to several of these meetings and I hear growth, we want growth, we want people to come here, we want people to come here. And I mean, it's not any of you, but the city really has not made it very pleasurable experience building a house here, so.
Yeah, it's tough. I think there were a number of missteps once upon a time, and those that might make it feel like it's difficult right now, we're probably just protecting from making those same mistakes, you know, compounding mistakes are an awful thing. But going forward, to your point, I mean, we've got to grow. I keep hearing about how the town's growing, but we have no, so.
So what are you looking for specifically again?
I'm asking for the city to install the city infrastructure. The sewer line that the city is responsible for and the water line that the city is responsible for going north. And then ending it, maybe getting with the city engineer, I think Josh, and then figuring out, see, I don't know, but finding out where to end it, I don't know. It might not have to go all the way in, but tie it in, and then later on down the road, if, I think his name's Ken, if he decides, because he was looking to grow and build some homes over there too, and that was directly to the west of my property. So it would make it a lot easier for him to have the water there. It's just, the city's growing, and we purchased that land and, I had the idea of splitting these lots up and stuff like that, and I could have done really small ones, or I could do, you can draw whatever you want, but I figured that the city and the city people would like to have large lots. So like a 1 acre lot is a decent, even though like an acre and a half, but a 1 acre lot is a decent size property. And then later on now, if Ken decides to do something, then, you know, even the city park or it just makes it so the city infrastructure is there, so if somebody needs to tap onto it, they can carry it down the road or whatever.
The guy to the west is looking at developing his stuff. Would it even make sense to put the infrastructure on the east side of your lots? Or would it make more sense to cut to the west and go in between the two of you?
I thought of that too, but that's not the way it went. You mean to the west?
To the west, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Because
water
I
and
am
sewer
gonna-
isn't on Dakota anyway. It goes through the alley. Next, going north. So there's actually nothing there anyway, so
Yeah,
the water and sewer would basically only feed those 6 lots plus your guys' stuff, right?
yep, he would have to tie in maybe directly to the south. No, yeah, directly south of our lot, tap in where the fire hydrant is and then bring it straight west. Or on the very end and then bring it west. That's not there yet. But then you'd have to probably do a lift station or something down for the grading kind of goes down, but that's. But, you know,
That would be the very last house that gets put up.
no, that wouldn't be on my land, that would be Ken's stuff.
Okay.
Because his is lower than the lot that I have.
Do you guys want to do anything at this point, or would it be worth talking to you and your neighbor, trying to come up with a plan? I know the want right now is to run it down Dakota Street from south to north, correct?
Mhm.
But if that handicaps your neighbor to the west that hasn't started developing yet, I think it would be one of those one-stop shops. If we're gonna do it, we gotta do it, make sure it satisfies everybody in both directions, so. Is it possible to get the both of you together, come to the city and? I don't know the guy.
Dan, have you talked to Ken recently? He was supposed to build a spec home like next to the order guard's house.
And there's probably water out to the west, right? Just
I
not
think-
sewer.
I think Hess owns it, or something like that.
So Ken has the water on Sixth Street, 4 blocks in, or 4 lots in that are already platted, with water and sewer already there. The street is not yet the surface. Ken wants to get out of the business. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice here. So he's looking for a developer, for a builder to take it on. Because several years ago, we were ready, he was ready to put a street in on Sixth Street and to get those 4 lots built and sold, and he was planning to expand his area there. And then something must have come up in his life that he doesn't want to do it anymore, so. But anyway, so I don't know what this would do. I mean, you could certainly run water down Fifth Street, or the potential Fifth Street on the side to the back of his lot and go down that alleyway or right on the property line, and service both sides potentially. That would be something that, yes, Ken should be involved in for that option.
That just seems like it's so much further away.
But that's way down the road.
Right,
That's way down the
You know.
road. And I know that I shouldn't say I don't know. It don't
because
hurt to ask.
let's say we did it and then he never moves forward anymore. Then it was just
Cause that would probably be a cost sharing thing. You know, for that. You know, would be my thinking.
Even with putting that sewer, the water to the north wouldn't hinder him if he, let's say, God forbid, passed away or something, and his kid took over his business or something and then decided to do something, I don't know. It wouldn't hinder him from having the stuff in a readily available spot, you know what I mean, with doing the water and sewer up to the north. Does that make sense? Cause if you do put the water in the sewer on the west, it's too low. It's way too low. You'd have to have a lift station that pumps the sewage up to where it would meet the city stuff. So technically, maybe, you know, I don't, like I said, I don't know what Ken's doing. Like Dan said, he's probably getting out of the business or, I don't know. But it would be nice if you guys could help me out with this. You know.
Well, it sounds like we should do some more homework, because I'm wondering what we have for infrastructure under Fourth Street, you know, just to the north of all that, kind of where your stuff ends.
There's
Is there,
there's a 4-inch sewer. I think there's you know,
underside?
If I may, I think we could put together a map, of the utilities in the area and just set up a meeting, talk it through, that'd probably be more, beneficial to all parties to have
Could we
some
get-
mapping in front of us, we can set up a meeting here whenever.
I do know the stuff in the trailer park is capped out, it's maxed out. Like, they're like, no, I remember when, Moberg was here, he was like, no, can't do anything. I couldn't tie into it, nobody could really add anything into the trailer or the trailer park, sewer or water, because it was maxed.
It couldn't handle what you're doing, is what you're saying.
No. So there, what probably will have to happen is maybe the last couple lots, slab on grade. Because like I said, it's like, it's all about depth and then how much rise you have and how much, like 10 feet, you have like a 1/4 inch or something like that. So, but it would not, the stuff that I installed that's at my property, it cannot tie into the, trailer park. Because it's like maxed out, it's gotta be separate. I do know that. I did talk with Josh about that.
Can we set something up with you, just to kind of go over everything, run all the traps, get kind of ballpark figures on what a project like that would cost? I think we need to do something to help out. I mean, vacant lots are worthless. And if there's families that want to move into Tioga and there's nowhere for them to live, we need to put our best foot forward and make opportunities for them. Yeah, there are gonna be some hurdles along the way, but I think we can figure that out.
So what should I, expect, I guess, maybe like get a phone call in a week or two or something, or should I get it on the agenda for another month from now, or?
No, we wanna meet with you. We wanna pick your brain. We wanna pick his brain. We want like all of us to collaborate and come up with the best option forward. Cause you're not a developer, right? No. We got vacant lots. You wanna offload those lots. There's potential for homes there. I think we just need to talk it through, run the traps and find a way to get infrastructure out there.
Okay,
That's my thought.
tell me when.
I'm sorry, you probably came up thinking,
Oh,
just,
I'm just trying to touch base again and just say, hey, like, look, if you guys thought about it or talked to it or.
We just need to figure out how to do it. And, you know, it's not even just helping you out. It's helping this community grow. So it's, I think it would be very good.
Okay.
give you a call.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, number 6, it's the fuel station. Jaden, you requested to have it added to the agenda. I will let you have the floor.
Well, I think when the fuel station was presented to the previous commission, I think there was incorrect info. And I think, it should have been more discussion and thought put into it. And I think it's probably a pretty good waste of money. I feel like there's other things that we can do with that money, so I would like to make a motion to terminate the contract with O'Day for the fuel station.
Have you checked into the cost or anything, do you remember?
I believe what it is 25% restocking fee.
Well, I know we gave them a $96,000 down payment. If that's recoverable or not, I'm not sure, but I can vouch, it does say 25% for restocking fee. And we know they didn't plan on starting till late fall. So the chances of them ordering something so far, I guess probably aren't great. So we might be off the hook as far as,
I would guess they haven't even started, so I would imagine it wouldn't be too much work to go back on this.
I would say that motion.
all right, we have a motion and a second to terminate the contract with O'Day to build our fuel station. This warrants a little more discussion, I think, so. Go ahead, Jason. You have anything else you'd like to? Yeah,
I think I said everything that I think. I think it was false information. I believe the dollar amount. I believe it was said that we could save $1 in fuel, buying in bulk, and I don't believe that. I don't think that's anywhere close to true.
that's good.
Anyone left from the other commission so far. There was figures ran that would show that fully on the diesel price, there could be at times up to $1 savings. As far as gasoline would go, yeah, I mean, the numbers are up and down, so it would probably be a wash. I don't think it was necessarily so much about saving the money. I think it was about making sure that like during snowstorms or power outages or something that it was more readily available to the city workers. That would include, you know, yes, the police department. I know there was a big thing where everybody thought it was gonna be the police department's fuel department, but it's not. It's for the police department, it's for the street workers, so they have access to get fuel for their loaders and things like that when winter time is when it would be more critical.
I just think there's gotta be a more, cost efficient way to do it. There's gotta be a cheaper way to do it. That's what I think.
Well, we,
Go ahead. Oh, sorry. Yes, some ideas.
That's Kyle. Just an idea, maybe talk to some farmers, cause I know they have generators, diesel tanks, gas tanks. I mean, if you could set up something, if it's critical, they need gas, diesel in a critical time. Maybe go out, build a couple payload, cop car, whatever, you know? And yeah, you pay that price, what the price of the pump is, you know, worth a shot instead of spending $100,000 or whatever it was to have a fuel station, might be an option.
I think just keeping things topped off. You know, I mean, if you know bad weather's coming, make sure everything's topped off, be ready. It's not like it's usually usually you can see it coming. You know, if it's just good practice, keep everything topped off. And then on top of that, Pinnacle has backup generators, so if we need fuel, we could just go out there.
Yeah, in the airport.
in the airport, yeah, my understanding is Pinnacle has 2 backup generators now. They have a backup to the backup. So that's a lot of security. Do you have anything else on this?
No,
Steven?
I have nothing to add.
number.
All right, I'll give you my 2 cents on the fuel station. I think initially it was a good idea until they found out that Pinnacle already owned a couple generators or a generator and they added another one. So the idea of having emergency fuel really didn't hold water. Secondly, tracking commodity prices is tough. I don't know if anybody's ever really that good at knowing when fuel's gonna be high and fuel's gonna be low. So using the excuse that it could be a cost savings thing, it's very likely that we could buy fuel at $4 a gallon. A month later, it goes down to $3 a gallon. We just lost $1 per gallon. It's a tough bid, no matter how you look at it. Is it necessary for our town? I don't think so. So I'm in agreement with this going away. So again, we got a motion and a second to terminate the contract with O'Day for the fuel station. Are we done with discussion or can we move to a vote?
I'm comfortable with that.
Okay, we'll move to a vote.
Yes.
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 Okay, motion carries. All right, new business number 6 is the 2025 Tioga preliminary budget, and then also the budget hearing. Scheduled, not scheduled, on September 16th, 2024 at 6 p.m. So we'll need 2 motions. Number 1 to approve the preliminary budget.
I make a motion to approve the preliminary budget.
I will second that.
All right, we got a motion and a second to approve the 2025 preliminary budget. We'll move to vote.
Yes.
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 Okay, motion carries. And secondly, we need a motion to approve a budget hearing on September 16th, 2024 at 6 p.m.
I will make a motion to approve the budget hearing September 16th, 2024 at 6 p.m.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the budget hearing schedule a budget hearing on September 16th, 2024 at 6 p.m. We'll move to vote.
Yes.
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 Motion carries. New business number 8 is subtopics during meetings. My understanding is Nathan Zocker wasn't able to make it or wanted to be removed from the agenda. So actually, I'll take his section if I may, if it's okay with you guys. All right, so I think I know where he was going with this, and I don't want to speak on his behalf because I'm not certain, but just off of the title of his agenda request. One of the issues that we've had at these meetings is someone will come up and talk about the community center, and then somehow a remark comes from the crowd about a baseball field. And then we're talking about a swimming pool and what color your dog is, and it's all over the place. So I think what he was really getting at, what I'm hoping we get at sometime down the line here, hopefully starting tonight, which thank you guys for being great so far. If you're on the agenda and you want to talk about, say, the community center, let's just keep it at the community center and nothing else. If you have multiple things that you want to talk about, we're going to try to open it up at the end of every meeting for like open discussion. Hit us with those then, but we got to keep the flow of these meetings going because it has not been awesome so far. Been pretty rough on us these first couple meetings, so I would assume that's what he's hitting on. It's very important to me. I'm sure it's important to these guys as well. Let's stick to the rules. We are drafting up rules and policy for meeting flow going forward. Those haven't been vetted yet, hasn't turned into policy, resolution or ordinance. But it's going to call a lot of that out as far as keeping decorum within these meetings for the future. Okay. You guys, do you have anything you want to add to that? All right. New business number 9, this is special election for our open street commissioner seat. Hold on one thing. This again is gonna have 3 separate motions. So the motion we'll need first is Abby's requesting permission for the election to be held on Tuesday, December 10th, 2024.
I will make the motion for the, special election to be held on Tuesday, December 10th, 2020.
I will second.
All right, with the motion and a second to approve the special election for Tuesday, December 10th, 2024, we'll move to vote.
Yes.
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 Okay, motion carries. Next would be, Abby is requesting permission for the election to be held at Tioga City Hall, same date.
I motion for the special elections to be held at Tioga City Hall.
I'll second.
All right, with the motion in a second, for the city election to be held at City Hall, we'll move to vote.
Yes.
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 That motion also carries. And lastly, Abby is requesting permission to pay each special election employee $400 for up to 8 employees. Again, this is still the same election.
Just a note, they have the right to have the aid, but I think they. It's in my plan, but in case they need to wait, but I would make the motion to pay each special election employee $400 each, up to 8 employees.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to pay each special election employee $400 for up to 8 employees. We'll move to a vote.
Yes.
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 Okay, motion carries. Thanks, guys. All right, number 11 is an estimate for Ferguson water meters. Oh, I'm sorry, guys, we're going back to number 10. So number 10 is the estimate for chip sealing city streets.
Hello, my name is Patrick Carabello. I'm here with Rose Engineering today. Next summer, we're gonna have a chip sealing project coming through the area, servicing multiple communities. So I reached out to Abby to see if Tioga would have some streets ready for chip sealing, which led us to have Josh make up a map kind of showing what is potentially needing chip sealing for us or for you guys, and that is kind of what this estimate was based off of. In essence, what we're looking to see here is likely a $3 per square yard unit charge is based off of several chip seals that have happened this year. And basically, everyone I get my hands on, I looked at it and tried to figure out how much it's gonna cost. Now, that's inclusive of all kind of construction costs, mobilization, and if your streets need paint, that'd be on there too. Some of these communities are not using paint and having all these communities together, we're hoping to get a lower mobilization. So we're hoping to see that number go down, but I'd rather give you guys a high number today and the estimate than it'd be higher later when we come back. So all I'm kind of looking for right now is kind of scope and see if you guys be interested in being part of this project. If all these streets you'd be willing to kind of commit to it once we get to that phase and we start looking at more of a formal getting together of the project.
No, we knew there was gonna be some chip sealing projects that we would have to do in last year's budget, and we set aside money this year for chip sealing. I don't remember what that number is off the top of my head, but we did specifically set money aside. It's really usually beneficial for the street.
I would say normally we recommend a year after any new paving project, the streets to be chip sealed in order to kind of seal that new infrastructure that way wear and tear isn't happening on your expensive infrastructure instead it's happening on these chips and tack. And then again, every 5 to 7 years, depending on how much usage that kind of road is getting. So in here, what Josh had done for us on the map is he separated out into these blue and red roads, where these blue roads are the stuff that, more engineering has helped you guys with in these recent years, and the red roads are stuff for their time that you saw that you thought was still chip seal eligible in essence. Normally, when we kind of evaluate these, and, I'm sure Josh can speak to you guys more about the quality of those streets on those reds, since he did the analysis, but we do kind of a 1 through 10 analysis, it's called a Pacer rating. And anything kind of higher than 6, you start looking at potentially being ready for chip seal, although 6 is kind of on the edge. You know, chip seal is not gonna solve your problems, it's just gonna seal and give them structure and keep things in.
Well, if you're comfortable with this. See, I was confused. I seen Main Street. And I saw what is that road we just had? Speed limit signs approved for, going up Signal Road. Anyway, they're brand new roads. Why didn't they do that right away? Construction, I didn't realize that it was recommended that it happen a year later.
Yeah, typically, you know, the thing with the chip seal project, which is why this is great, that they're doing it with multiple communities. You want to do a large project, otherwise you're gonna pay through the roof for it. You know, having a large square yardage will get much better pricing. It's a quick process. You don't want to have 5, 10 blocks. It's not very economical that way. But yeah, certainly, definitely agree that it's, there's a lot of streets out there that are in the category of being ready for chip seal. The mapping, it was a very quick windshield survey, just to kind of give a idea of what areas may be appropriate. There's a few locations in there. Project hasn't even been constructed, like the trail up at the dam. We threw that in there as I provided that information to them that would be paid this year as something that could be chip sealed, as well as the community center parking lot. The new parking lot portion of that, I believe. Did you just include the existing parking lot?
We got down here, I believe we just included the existing parking lot.
Okay.
The thing that we've done with chip seal before, is we did a spot that is not chip seal ready or something standard investment. We just skip it, those contractors who chip seal aren't here for long term, they're here for get the job done and get out. And so you're not gonna pay for things that aren't ready that we're seeing here, just gonna get committed. Once we go and move forward, move forward, doesn't guarantee that's how much you're gonna get, but no, you could end up skipping those sections.
So what do you need from us tonight?
All I really need is kind of verbal go ahead to start drafting up language of some kind of proposal to bring forward to you guys. And scoping, making sure that these streets are, yes, the ones that we want to look at. We don't want to take any off or add any.
So you need a motion to pursue a proposal.
I would make the motion to proceed with the chip seal. Let's go for it.
I'll second.
Aye, yeah. Okay, we have a motion and a second to pursue. We have a motion and a second to go forward with the Groves Engineering chip seal estimate. Or I guess proposal. All that, good. Okay, are there any questions about that? We'll move to a vote.
Yes.
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 It carries. Thank you. All right, number 11 is an estimate for Ferguson water meters. This is for $14,540. Looks like it's a 5 by 8 by 3/4 meter body. Not real sure where it's going, but. Oh yeah, there's 100. No longer it is. Okay, we're getting water meter upgrades for $14,540, so we'll need a motion to approve that bid.
I'm going to approve the bid for the water meters.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for the approval of water meter purchases in the amount of $14,540. We'll move to a vote.
Yes.
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 Okay, motion carries. Okay, number 12, estimate for dust control. All right, so this estimate is from Braun to complete dust control, which equates to $9,000 per mile. Street Superintendent Kirk Odegaard is requesting the commission board to consider approval of 5 miles, so 45,000 total.
Is it like 60 cents?
I sure hope so.
I mean, I think that's typically where we do.
Wonder where else it is, so I wish there was more info on it, because it's, it also seems like that's a lot of money. I wish we knew what was costing what.
Yeah, it's mag chloride. I went out and tried to find if anyone would do soybean oil, because we've used that before out in the oil field, and it works really well, but nobody does that anymore. Everybody's kind of shifted towards mag chloride, which is what this is.
I think Patrick has been on 67th Street.
I'm pretty sure it's 67.
Well, the estimate is to do 5 miles, so even if 67th Street isn't what the estimate is about, we can direct that to go towards 67th Street.
Where is the 5 miles? That's not 5 miles.
It might be multiple times.
I wish we knew more, but we need it, so I don't know what else to say. I make a motion to approve the 45,000 for Braun to complete dust control, 5 miles.
I'll second that.
All right, with the motion and a second to approve the quote from Brown Trucking for dust control for 5 miles of road not to exceed or totaling 45,000. We'll move to vote.
Yes.
State.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. All right, number 13 is the estimate for trench line and backfill the baseball field. All right, this one's from Central Dakota Sprinkler out of Minot. Their total was $3,350. So that is 3-inch PVC, backflow preventers, roughly 6 hours of labor and 6 hours of drive time. So again, that's $3,350. Trenching the water line to the new softball field.
I will make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, with a motion and a second to approve the trench line quote for Central Dakota Sprinkler, we'll move to a vote.
Yes.
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 Okay, motion carries. Number 14 is the Tioga Fund application. This is for the annual night out that Jessica was talking about earlier. So the Tioga Fund Advisory Board recommends approval of an $800 from the community improvement portion of the Tioga Fund. And this would be funding the National Night Out.
Would the motion to approve?
I will second.
All right, so motion and a second to approve the $800. Okay. Motion and a second to approve the $800 request to the Tioga Police Department for the National Night Out. We can move to a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, consent approval. Number 15 is pledge holdings as of 7/12/24 for the Bank of Tioga and as of 8/1/24 for First State Bank and Trust. Number 16 is payroll for July 22nd, 2024, and number 17 is bills for July 2024. So we'll need a motion to approve the consent approval for the consent agenda as written.
I'll second.
All right, with the motion and the second to approve the consent agenda, we'll move to a vote.
Yes.
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 Motion carries. Really, it's been quiet. We're done with our agenda. Anyone want to come up and wreck that, or should we have some fun for 15 minutes? I want to hear what you guys have to say.
I got a question.
But it's gotta be, come on.
I just was wondering why it takes so long to do the election, just curious. Is there, why does it take till December? I'm not rushing it, I was just curious.
I think it has a lot to do with the canvassing board, or not canvassing board, I don't know if you call it the election board. There's certain people that are certified to do the job and they all have to be willing to get together. You have primaries in November, plus Thanksgiving, so you've got to be able to get these ladies that donate their, time essentially. I realize we're paying them, but they had to come up with a date that works, and then you have to have so many days in between. There has to be so much notice before you can. I think it's like a 60-day window or something before you can set it. I could be wrong, it could be
64.
before, so that would be why. So,
I got a quick question, that dust control, I got, that, I don't know what road it is, the one where Sandhagen's done.
That's 67.
Yeah, is that road gonna get dust control? Okay.
I'm just gonna be real quick tonight, when Josh was talking about the roads and stuff, with the pavement coming up. Wouldn't it be nice to have like a diamond cutter and cut the bumps off, like, come and go? So we don't have to drive the next 2-3 years. Coming over that bump or anywhere else in town.
But somebody to cut them so they're straight, so they don't have to. You know what I'm talking about?
You're talking on the east side going towards the
I'm
community center?
talking- No, I'm talking about right at the chemical going up to Main Street.
I think we just talked about just, as you leave Tioga, just right after you leave, there's a big bump right there.
We've been driving, you haven't been driving that for all these last year.
I drive so slow.
Yeah, but you still get to feel it. No, but I'm just saying that it would be nice to, if there's somebody that's got a time cutter around this area, that it would be nice to contact them, get them cut out of there, because it is a terrible, terrible thing to be driving over the next few years.
We do that, Josh?
Yeah, we'll either, look at getting that included in the project for miscellaneous staffing and stuff that Kurt was, looking at. And, or if it doesn't work with that, we'll work it out. Take care of that spot and stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
President, members of the commission, for the record, my name is Robert Harms. And Bob Starkle sent you an email, and I thought I would have some others that were going to be here with me this evening, but they're not. And I see that Mr. Starkle didn't send a copy to Commissioner Sanders, so I'm going to find a written copy. What I've done is I've handed out the email that he sent to you. I'm looking at your screen, and you've got about 30 people online and about the same number of people here. So if you bear with me, I'm going to try and summarize what's in his email really for the people online so that they kind of know what he and the report committee are asking of the commission. And I have some suggestions. I also have a clarification. He refers to a century code provision on page 2. I'll make a correction on that, a clarification that I'll speak to at the end. He says, Mayor Ryan's and City Commissioners, one singular project with a narrow focus does not meet the broader needs of our communities, such as housing, workforce, health, education, and recreation. We can and should do better to meet the broader needs of the people of Tioga. We've been trying to help bring our community together and do what is best for most of the people throughout these proceedings. We've tried to help you and the previous commission. We offer these thoughts and suggestions in the spirit of cooperation and community unity. We can and should do better. The community center expansion will likely remain controversial until the review stop or public input is welcome. We should have had a better process that embraced public input. Instead, we've had a very closed, preordained process that has not allowed for thoughtful and creative decision-making. And then we've established a timeline that you've seen before. I'll just make a couple of comments. January 22nd, January 18th, 2022, 7-member committee is handpicked for expansion. 3 weeks later, February 4th, FCI, the contractor, provided a 30-page conceptual estimate for a $15.5 million project, less than 3 weeks. March 23rd, the public is presented with a $16 million proposal. An extraordinarily fast process. In May 22, a motion is made to move forward with the project. In July of 2022, the public responded with 400 signatures submitted to the city calling for a halt and seeking community input and unity on a $16 million project.
On September 13th, the public meeting was held. As promised by the new mayor, no action was taken. The minutes just simply listed the attendees. And then this continues on into the bond resolution, the referral, the fact that the community submitted a referral petition with 264 signatures. And then it continues to on May 28th of this year, construction contract was signed with FCI. And then construction began June 15th. Excuse me, I've been hardly spit at this point, but I'm gonna try and see if I can get some saliva going so I can talk. Anyway, the current status, you've got a $16 to $17 million project. There's an assertion in the email that says the project should have been subject to North Dakota Century Code 48-01.2-02.1, which says the threshold for bidding construction of a public improvement is $200,000. We've learned in the last week that this project has been managed through construction management at-risk process. And that allows for a process outside of the usual bidding requirements. What I'm handing you is the summary of that statute. What I want to get to is that, is there a water fountain just outside?
Yes, I
Yeah.
If you just give me a 30 seconds. Now I think I can talk. Sorry about that. So the Century Code that I have summarized for you essentially allows for an exception, if you will, the usual bidding process for a public construction project. And what that does is it sets up a very specific process that allows you to use that statute as an alternative to bidding a public project. And it requires very specific steps. One says you have to create a committee, a selection committee. Names that you gotta have a member of the city, an architect, an engineer, and the contractor. It continues to say the contractor cannot submit a proposal for this construction manager at risk. And so it lists all of the qualifications for the CMAR, and lists all of the things that should be included, including budget limits, start and completion dates, if you're going to do interviews, whether the fees and expenses are to be included, all of that, and the scope of work. Then it sets out the committee shall determine the evaluation criteria, including whether it should consider fees and expenses. Then there's a weighted system that you have to score those proposals, and how they're scored, and lastly, it indicates that you have to publish this process so the public has the assurance that you are allowing the
competitive processes that we like to see with regard to public expenditure or expenditure of public funds, that's given its greatest opportunity to come to fruition. So that's the off-ramp for the century code citation that Mr. Scarpel refers to in his email. His email continues, a small number of people want to spend $16 million plus an unknown amount of operating expenses for 50 to 60 years to come on behalf of 2,000 or 3,000 other people without their input. This is simply wrong and should not stand. As a matter of fairness to the rest of the community, this project should be halted regardless of cost to allow the public to express its views on this project and other potential needs that should be met in using these public funds. It's unfair and unwise to continue under the current path. Suggested solutions. He suggests 1, host a special election on or about September 1st, 2024, about 60 days out. Assess the public sentiment on A, proceed with the current $16 million project, or B, suspend the current project and begin a new process to assess community needs, including some version of the Tioga Community Center. You can set your own parameters. And number 2, suspend construction for the time being until the vote is held. 3, host at least a couple of community forums to educate the public about the pros and cons of the paths forward. 4, survey public of its needs and interests. 5, solicit volunteers for a committee to assist in these efforts. 6, meet with FCI and the architect after suspending construction regarding the costs of doing so, and to confirm that the construction thus far can be utilized in the current project or changes to the project in their interest in continuing to work with Tioga in the future. And lastly, terminate the litigation with the referral committee. The final goal is that we should do an objective assessment to meet the needs of Tioga for workforce. How do we meet the workforce needs in the future? Does this expansion help that? Secondly, housing needs. How do we provide for housing for young families, new employees, and the elderly who want to transition? Does the current proposal meet those needs? Health. How do we maximize the health of our elderly, our young families, and children? Does the TCC expansion address those needs in the greatest way possible? Recreation. Tioga has many recreational opportunities: hunting, golf, swimming, team sports, recreational vehicle competition, and so forth. Does the proposal address these needs in the greatest way possible? We need to take a holistic approach to assessing what is best for Tioga rather than a singular view that this one project meets our needs most effectively. Tioga can and should do something exceptional with the oil revenue coming our way. We should plan carefully to address the needs above and build facilities and programs that will help address all of these needs. Some ideas and projects are listed below, and you've seen and heard most of those. But as an example, Main Street multi-purpose building, you were sent some photographs of architects rendering what that building would look like. And he mentions, you say, imagine if your widow, elderly mom or aunt could sell her house and move to a comfortable apartment or condo downtown, somewhere near the senior center, which would make her home available for new families and employees. That's an example of what we're hoping that we could do in this process. Now, I understand that you've been told that to suspend the contract is something around $20,000 a week. That's what I have been told. I don't know if that's what you've been told, but let me offer you some things to think about. Do you need to make this decision? We'd like you to. We think that the proposal that Mr. Scarpel has advanced makes a lot of sense. If you're concerned about doing that, and you're concerned about cost, then I'd suggest a couple of the steps in the meantime. One, I would insist that FCI show to you in the contract and the factual basis for this notion that it's gonna cost us $20,000 a week. That would be step one. I would insist that they show you those two things. And then secondly, at the end of this meeting, I would ask the staff to help you confirm that these steps have been taken. Because if these steps have not been taken, this contract does not comply with North Dakota law. So with that, Mr. President, members of the commission, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Seeing as how Mr. Harms has sat down, I'll fill a little gap for everyone. On July 24th of 2024, Mr. Harms directed an open records inquiry to the city asking for what amount to a routine solicitation of bids and documents pertaining to that, including the publication of the requests for bids. Abby has been away, and so Mr. Harms followed up on July 30th, asking if the project was open for bidding. I was copied in that email. Mr. Harms and Mr. Scarpel became aware tentatively of the use of a CMAR, a construction manager at risk, by virtue of my responsive email on July 30th of 2024, indicating to Mr. Harms, Mr. Scarpel was not party to that email. He didn't include himself, and Mr. Harms didn't include him, but I have no issue sharing the email with the public. I indicated to Mr. Harms that Abby would reply to his open record request within a reasonable time, per the terms of North Dakota Century Code 4404. I politely reminded him that open record settings do not require the city to answer questions, but in the interest of avoiding a series of emails, while Abby collected the documents that may be relevant to his request, I indicated to Mr. Harms that from memory and subject to supplementation, that the city used a construction manager at risk for the project, and there was indeed a notice and call for qualifications of that CMAR rather, consistent with the statute. I tried to do that to inform both Mr. Harms and Scarpel that, maybe they were barking a bit up the wrong tree because they misunderstood the manner and nature in which the project was both bid, planned, and secured. And so, I think both Mr. Harms and Mr. Scarpel, like any member of the public, certainly are entitled to their records once they're compiled. But I disagree with their analysis, and I'm somewhat surprised that they're willing to venture an analysis and solutions when they don't have the documents that would allow them to adequately analyze those positions. But they will receive them. At this time, I guess, for the public's information, it's not my belief that there's anything wrong with the project in as much as the statutory procedure is concerned. And so, to the degree that Mr. Harms represents that, I just fundamentally disagree and would encourage him to review the records on receipt accordingly. So that's all I have to share.
All right, we got just a couple minutes left, so I'm gonna use it all up myself. I think everybody has the right to know how I feel about the community center. It's on the agenda every single meeting. It turns into a fight every single meeting. Clear the air. I didn't love the community center project at first. I thought there was a lot of uncertainty. It didn't seem like people were speaking with confidence about the bond, the contract, the anything and everything about it. So my spidey senses were going off right off the bat. And I kind of said it in our little write-up, pre-election stuff. There's a lot of intellectual horsepower in this town. There are some people here that have done some pretty cool things. They've experienced more than I ever have. Why we didn't rely on them and lean on them and take advice, this, that, and the other, it would have been a great opportunity. Ask some of our older people, like, hey, what do you think about this? This is a lot of money. It might hamstring us for a number of years. What do you think? We didn't do that. So now I'm really irritated with the project, and that was the number one thing was, gosh dang it, why couldn't we just have had a vote? It would have satisfied a lot of these questions, a lot of the bitterness. This bitterness is not gonna go away. I don't think it ever will. But what's gonna help is a community center being built and people walking in and looking around and seeing the room, seeing all the cool stuff inside, and it might help. Is it gonna help everybody? Absolutely not. But nobody will, but we've turned a questionable thing into a worse thing, into almost a thing. We could have just as well built a $16 million brick wall and stacked bricks as high as we could through the middle of town, because that's what it's done. And that's what I dislike about the community center. It's called a community center. It has driven the community apart. So how do we figure out a way to move forward? Again, my opinion, you don't have to agree with it, you might be totally wrong. I don't think we start healing until those doors open up. I can't apologize for what happened before. We had nothing to do with it. The way the construction started conveniently, I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. I think we have some contractors that are very good contractors that wanted to get going. The weather was favorable. They have their timeline, their punch lists, their things. They want them to close it on a certain date, which is in the winter, by the way. Stopping it, pausing it, costing the city money. That's another thing. We should talk about that. If we pause it, short term, yes, it's 20,000 a week. I'll call it medium term. It's like $3 to $4 million, and that was as of July 19th. Just to pause it, just to look at the plans, maybe restructure it, maybe look at different ways of setting it up. Taking the city's money away for something like that is not right. I can't stand for that. I never will. That's a waste of money. So then, after everything gets done, and potentially it could be the exact same as it's proposed right now. Now we're gonna have a $13 million community center and a $16 million price tag. How dare us to even consider that? We're not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I don't. It's not right. Again, mistakes were made, and I wouldn't even call them mistakes. They were just missteps. Did pride get in the way? Absolutely. Did rights get taken away? Inadvertently, but they did. That's hardly a concern of mine. All I care about is how we move forward. Is that punching this thing through the goal line? Yeah, it might be. I'm willing to try. Is it shutting off ideas to do some of the things that Mr. Harms just talked about? Yeah, those aren't off the table. Just because we have one project on the books doesn't mean that everything else is off the table. It's a huge price tag. The bond is friendly. The OpEx is gonna be tough. How long do we keep the doors open in the community center? I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. Are there other projects out there that we can do? Yes, yeah, the 1% passed this year. That's essentially free money. I'll call it free money, even though it's really not, but it might be heading our way. Another thing is the more projects we have on the books, the more we're allowed to save in our little mess fund. We're allowed to save 75% of what we have on allocation for projects wise. So the more projects we have, the more we can save. That doesn't mean you have to execute on those projects. If you change your mind a year later, you can reallocate them to something else. We can win 9 different ways on this thing. We just all have to be willing to win. And that's really what I'm hoping for, is just start stacking wins starting tonight. Stopping a project is basically the opposite of progress in my mind. So I wanted you guys to have an idea of what I felt. Not that it really matters anyway, but you guys should know how I feel about the whole thing. Was it perfect? Far from it. Can we move forward? Absolutely. And if any of you guys want to sit down on your thoughts too, I know I tend to ramble once I get started, and I apologize for that.
Well, I'm just gonna say that, on our next project that we decide to do, there is gonna be a lot of community input. There is gonna be, we're gonna hold meetings, we're gonna talk to everybody. We'll do our best to make sure that this never happens again. That's all we can really do at this point.
And I completely agree with everything both of them said right there, and from this point, like Jaden said, transparency.
All right, our agenda is concluded, so we'll need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second that.
All right, with the motion and a second to adjourn, we'll move to a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we are adjourned at 8:51 PM. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.